After chasing Lars Jiang for 5 years, I finally succeeded in winning him over. I learned to cook, play badminton, and even studied his professional field just to have common topics with him. I did my best to be a perfect girlfriend, but after 2 years of dating, I initiated the breakup, delete WeChat, block the phone number, and vanish completely from his world. The pair of silver rings I made with my own hands has been thrown away. Professor Jiang, let's part on good terms. After sending this message, I left this place. Later, I heard that the once proud associate professor of Peking University had gone mad, asking everyone if they had seen a pair of silver rings. Sky Song, are you really not coming to the night market with us? I hurriedly packed my bag, looking at my colleague apologetically. Sorry, next time I'll treat you all to bubble tea. Today I have to go queue for shrimp dumplings. Lars Jiang really loves that place. My colleague looked at me disapprovingly, hesitating as if wanting to say something. I avoided their gazes, quickly shut down my computer, and left. I knew what they wanted to say. Lars Jiang is the youngest associate professor at Jing University, a prominent figure. I pursued him for 5 years before finally winning him over. During those 5 years, I embodied the ultimate simp, and in the 2 years we dated, I placed him on a pedestal, fearing he'd suffer even the slightest grievance. Attending to his every need in every possible way. After learning about his stomach issues, I, a proud young lady who had never lifted a finger for household chores, began rolling up my sleeves to cook nourishing meals, carefully tending to his fragile stomach. Yet Lars Jiang never appreciated it, treating me with indifference and frequently standing me up for work, leaving me alone. My colleagues felt sorry for me and advised me not to spoil him too much. They didn't understand I wasn't being love-struck, I just had my own pace. I queued for 2 hours to buy shrimp dumplings, then hurriedly rushed to Kyoto University with them in an insulated bag. Just as his last class ended, students were streaming out. Among so many people, I could spot his figure at a glance. His back was straight as a ramrod, with long legs concealed in black suit pants. His ascetic scholarly aura is precisely what fascinates me the most. Lars Jiang's classes are always packed. Some students attend because his lectures are excellent, while others come simply because of him. I struggled to squeeze my way close to him. Lars, I brought you some shrimp dumplings. They're best eaten while hot. He glanced down at the insulated bag I was carrying, said nothing, and only gave a slight nod. I didn't mind, habitually reaching to take his arm, but he quickly dodged away. I froze for a moment, then smiled nonchalantly. Sorry, I forgot. He had previously said not to show any intimate gestures in public, even just holding hands or linking arms. After returning to Lars Jiang's place, I went straight to the kitchen, familiar with the routine. By the time he finished washing up, I had also finished simmering the soup, just in time. I said with a smile, after washing up. Lars Jiang seemed more down-to-earth, no longer so aloof and ethereal, as if he was finally someone I could reach. His slender fingers, with distinct knuckles as he held the spoon, always made my imagination run wild. A man's fingers are important. Thinking of certain scenarios, I couldn't help but blush. After the meal, we engaged in some pleasant activities. His handsome features were flushed with passion, and a thin layer of sweat covered his forehead. I loved him in moments like these, no longer as distant and unapproachable as a cold, lofty flower. After it was over, I nestled in his arms, unwilling to move. Savoring the rare intimacy, at this moment, he would always hold me tightly. Someone once said that a man who remains gentle afterward truly loves you. I think Lars Jiang must love me. He's just more reserved. He's just book-smart but socially awkward. As I was leaving for work this morning, Lars Jiang suddenly called out to me, "You don't need to come over tonight. Some classmates are coming to my place." My hands froze mid-air as I was putting on my shoes, and I turned to look at him. He still habitually pressed his lips into a straight line, exuding an air of unapproachability. Perhaps it was because my complexion was too pale that he, uncharacteristically, offered a few more words of explanation. "An old classmate from our undergraduate days. One of them is going abroad and likely won't return. Since we're all in the capital, we gathered to see him off and took the opportunity to meet up at my place." I nodded blankly. mechanically opening the door to leave. But before closing it, I turned back again. There are still my things in the room, should I pack them up? He didn't want me to show my face, probably because he didn't want people to know we were in a relationship. Naturally, I should take away what belongs to me and keep it hidden. He coldly refused. No need. I'll handle it. I forced out a faint smile. Then I'll go first. Have fun. Actually, Lars Jiang and I weren't living together in the first place. I lived in another district. But ever since he agreed to be in a relationship with me, I'd been trying bit by bit to encroach upon his private life, including his place. Every time I visited him, I would unintentionally leave behind some small items. Over time, his place became filled with traces of me everywhere, so we were practically in a semi-cohabitation state. He tacitly allowed all of this to happen, and I thought he was happy about it too, but today, he explicitly forbade me from appearing, not allowing me to be seen by his friends. Even though I almost completely lost my dignity during those 5 years of pursuing him, I still can't help but feel heartbroken now. I wiped away my tears. Sky Song, why are you crying? This path was your own choice from the start. You knew his reluctance from the very beginning, yet you pursued him recklessly. Wasn't this outcome already anticipated? The first time I met Lars Jiang was at a lecture. As an associate professor in the history department at Jing University, he was there to support a historical event. The first time I saw him, I couldn't take my eyes off him. It's no surprise I fell for him, because almost every girl at the event was crazy about him. I took the initiative to ask for his contact, and unsurprisingly, got rejected. Sorry, I don't use WeChat. He didn't even glance at me, his tone so cold it could freeze ice. Of course, I didn't believe his explanation, thinking he had just come up with an outrageous excuse off the top of his head, but later I found out that he genuinely didn't use WeChat. Students who needed to contact him could only reach him via text messages, phone calls, or email. If they sent a WeChat message, who knew how long it would take to get a reply from him? After that, I began the pursuit in reverse. He liked playing badminton, and I, a lazybones who would rather lie down than sit and sit than stand, bought sportswear for the first time and showed up at the stadium. Unfortunately, my skills were nowhere near good enough to play against him, so I started practicing hard, keep up with physical exercise, and naturally, don't neglect the mind either. To have common ground with him, I would read history books whenever possible and secretly listen to his lectures. As for things like bringing him meals and water, delivering medicine when he was sick, or finding various out-of-print books for him, such acts were countless. Yet, he still wouldn't spare me a second glance. The turning point came at a wedding banquet. While my mom was catching up with an old colleague, I unexpectedly saw Lars Jiang. Sometimes, I truly feel that Lars Jiang and I are destined by fate. His mother turned out to be my mom's old colleague. Both parents also had the intention of bringing us together. The day after that meeting, when I asked him again if he would be my boyfriend, he agreed. I looked at the word yes in the text message and almost dropped my phone. I was so happy I could hardly wait to run to his side immediately. Unfortunately, after I arrived, I waited at the school from day to night before he finally agreed to have a meal with me. His attitude remained indifferent, devoid of any sweetness. Even when I tried to hold his hand, he would pull away. My heart gradually grew cold. I guess it must have been my mom who noticed my unconcealable admiration for Lars Jiang, and with Mrs. Jiang secretly helping behind the scenes, they managed to make Lars Jiang give in. Perhaps he had no choice but to agree to date me. He was reluctant, so he was impatient with me too. Back then, I was already prepared to face his cold indifference. It's okay, after all, I'm the one who likes him, and I pursued him. Now that I've succeeded, I should be happy. In the future, I'll treat him well, and he'll gradually come to like me. But now, I'm starting to have doubts. After a sleepless night, Lars Jiang still didn't reach out to me the next day. What else could I do? I had no choice but to take the initiative and message him. If he didn't reply, it didn't matter. I'd just grab a bowl of his favorite kanji and go find him at Peking University, on the bench beneath the cherry blossom tree. I spotted that familiar figure from afar. He was wearing glasses today, which made his intellectual aura even more pronounced. As I approached, I noticed there was also a girl by his side, The girl was dressed in an intellectual and elegant manner, with a gentle and warm smile. They were engaged in a lively conversation. It wasn't until I got closer that I could hear what they were talking about. They were talking about history, indeed. If there's anything that could pique Lars Jiang's interest and make him talk more, it's probably history. The girl clearly had a good understanding of history as well, and the two were discussing how a recently unearthed artifact could corroborate historical research. That was something I could never catch up on, no matter how hard I tried in the days to come. Even when Lars Jiang was almost right in front of me, he still didn't notice me. I couldn't help but call out, "Lars." He stopped in his tracks and finally saw me. The girl looked at me in surprise. "Senior brother, who is this? Oh, so you're Lars Jiang's junior sister. No wonder you have common topics to discuss." I was just about to say I'm his girlfriend, but Lars Jiang spoke first. "This is Sky Song, and this is Lin Yu." No introduction of identity, just my name was mentioned. I stared blankly at Lars Jiang, but his gaze merely swept across my face before quickly looking away. Behind the cold lenses were a pair of merciless eyes. I bit my lip, momentarily at a loss for words. After blinking rapidly a few times to evaporate the moisture in my eyes, I suppressed the tremble in my voice and said, "I have something to do, I need to go." With that, she lowered her head and ran off. Even though she didn't want to look at Lars Jiang anymore, she couldn't help but steal a quick glance at his face before leaving. His brows were tightly furrowed. Probably dissatisfied with my unwillingness to cooperate, the phone was vibrating, with Lars Jiang's name flashing repeatedly on the screen. This was the first time he had taken the initiative to call me. I should have been happy, but at this moment, the pain in my heart spread to the point where I could hardly feel any other emotion. The phone's ringtone fell silent as I wearily lay back on the sofa. At that moment, the door was knocked. Along with the sound of the door came a message from Lars Jiang, "Open the door." I sat dazed on the sofa for a long time before finally getting up to open the door. This was his first time visiting my home. In his hand was a takeout bag from Fuji Fried Rice, a place we both loved. As usual, he set the chopsticks neatly in front of me, as if nothing had happened. I really wanted to confront him about why he refused to acknowledge my identity in front of others. But I was afraid he might say something hurtful. In the end, I picked up my chopsticks and, just like him, pretended as if nothing had happened. I thought, since he took the initiative to call me and come to see me, it must mean he was yielding to me. So be it then. Lars Jiang and I are back to how we were before. Today marks our 2-year anniversary. I happened to leave work early and went to the supermarket, carrying a bunch of groceries and a pre-ordered cake to Lars Jiang's place. Ready to show off my cooking skills, but just as I put the things down, there was a noise at the door. Did Lars Jiang also leave class early? I came out of the kitchen excitedly, only to bump into a girl head-on. It was Lin Yu, the girl I saw by Lars Jiang's side yesterday. Clearly, she was equally shocked, but she reacted quickly, giving me a proper smile as if she were the host, then took off her shoes and fetched a pair of slippers from the small cabinet. "Sky Song, what are you doing here?" My hands were trembling, and I could only clench my teeth tightly as I stared back at her and retorted, "And why are you here?" She chuckled. "Don't get me wrong, I left an earring here earlier, and my senior asked me to come get it myself." With that, she headed to the bathroom and retrieved a diamond earring from somewhere. I stood there frozen, my hand unconsciously gripping the back of the chair. It felt as though without that support, I might not be able to stand. Lin Yu looked at the kitchen and the cake on the dining table. "Are you cooking? Then I won't disturb you." Before leaving, I finally followed her to the door. "I am Lars Jiang's girlfriend." As if desperately trying to prove something, I solemnly told her. She didn't show a hint of surprise, just smiled. I slid down against the door and sat on the floor. I didn't move until Lars Jiang returned. I don't know if Lin Yu told him about meeting me at home, but his expression remained unchanged. Seeing the ingredients laid out in the kitchen, he simply said, "I'll cook today." My gaze followed him the whole time, watching him wash and chop the vegetables. Then suddenly I spoke up. "Lin Yu saw me when she came over. I told her I'm your girlfriend." His movements halted, and his expression darkened when he looked at me. Suddenly, I couldn't hold back my tears and confronted him for the first time. What's your relationship with Linyu? Why does she know your home passcode? Watching me break down in tears, he seemed puzzled. What are you doing? I'm asking you what your relationship with her really is, and why her earrings are at your place. It was the first time I had lost control like this in front of him, but today I wanted to get to the bottom of it. He gazed at me quietly for a long time before finally speaking. At the last class reunion, a classmate brought her along. Is that why you're angry? I wiped away my tears and pressed further. And the door lock password, why did you give it to her? I didn't know you were home. She was in a hurry, so I gave it to her. She wanted it, so he gave it. I really want to laugh. When we first started dating, I always wanted to know the password to his door lock, but he just wouldn't tell me. I pestered him for a long time, but he still refused. I only found out by secretly peeking at it myself one time, and even after realizing I knew, he still didn't change it. Back then, I secretly felt happy, thinking he might have intentionally let me find out, but now, he says he directly gave the password because Linyu wanted to come. What was I to you back then? Lars Jiang reached out to wipe my tears, but I tilted my head away. His hand froze, his expression unreadable. I looked at him and asked, enunciating each word, why did you agree to be my boyfriend if I'm not even as good as an ordinary friend? Why bother being with me? Actually, I believe there's nothing between him and Linyu. But I can't accept that he could casually agree to things for an ordinary girl, yet be so strict with me. I looked at him calmly and said, let's break up. After I brought up the breakup, he didn't say a word, just stared at me intently. Are you really going to make a fuss over something like this? I clenched my fists tightly, trying not to tremble. He was so calm, and I didn't want to lose my composure any further. You've worked hard during this time. I turned around, opened the door, and left without looking back. Lars Jiang contacted me once again. Where is my ring? He asked. I felt somewhat dazed. I once gave him a silver ring. It was for our first anniversary. I specifically sought out a silversmith to learn how to make a pair myself. Matching couples' rings, one for each of us, I said. Wear this ring, and you're mine. I'm going to keep you tied to me for a lifetime. But he never wore it. I deceived myself into thinking he just didn't like the style, after all. It wasn't expensive or particularly beautiful, so when I once saw his ring on the nightstand, I quietly took it away. He noticed my little trick, and I even found myself an excuse, explaining that there was a minor flaw, so I would rework it and bring it back to him when it was fixed. Whatever, that was all he said. Yeah, he wouldn't wear it anyway, so he wouldn't care about these things at all. After that, I stopped wearing them and placed the two matching rings together, burying them in the drawer. Neither of us ever mentioned those silver rings again. I don't know why he suddenly remembered them and sent such a message. Later, I sent him a message. I threw away that pair of silver rings I made with my own hands. Professor Jiang, let's part on good terms. After that, I blocked and deleted all his contact information. When I blocked him on WeChat, looking at the chat interface filled only with my own messages, I couldn't help but laugh at myself. Even though I knew he wouldn't check WeChat, I stubbornly sent him an I love you every day, even if he never replies. Now, even this contact has been deleted, so there's no longer any possibility of connection between us. In the past, giving everything unreservedly for him was just part of what allowed me to leave him willingly and completely. Otherwise, I fear he would forever remain in my heart. That's good. I can completely let him go. Sky Song, it's time to board the plane. Let's go. I put away my phone and stood up from my seat, walking towards the boarding gate with my colleague. Our organization has always had a support program for the Western regions. The conditions are tough, but staying for a few years guarantees a promotion upon return. The leader had always wanted me to go, but I kept refusing. This time, I caught the last bus and finally stepped onto this path of promotion. Lekwu City is where I was assigned to support. It's all Gobi Desert here. With no cell phone signal, our supplies are procured from the town on a fixed monthly schedule. I've been here for 3 years. With inconvenient transportation, I haven't even been back home once. At first, I was truly overwhelmed, but now, I've come to appreciate the magnificent beauty of the Gobi Desert and have grown accustomed to being covered in dust every day. Compared to nature, humans are truly insignificant. Today was another day for shopping in town. and I went with a male colleague. Fang Shu is an employee from a sister unit, but since we were supporting the same project and are close in age, we've gotten to know each other well over these 3 years. From tractors to camel carts and then to buses, we traveled through multiple modes of transportation before finally reaching the town, after which we split up to start shopping. After completing the purchases, we didn't leave immediately but instead waited at a noodle shop while having a meal. The leader mentioned that someone would be coming to inspect our work today, so we were asked to return together. We were in the middle of eating when a group of people walked into the noodle shop. Minister Wang, Fang Shu suddenly stood up, and I set down my chopsticks, but as I turned around, I spotted an unexpected figure among the group, Lars Jiang. On the way back, we didn't squeeze onto the bus again, but instead boarded Minister Wang's Toyota coaster. Minister Wang enthusiastically introduced the local area to Lars Jiang throughout the journey. I sat quietly in the back row, listening. It turned out that Minister Wang and his team had come for an inspection and happened to meet Lars Jiang, who was here on a business trip. Let me tell you, this Professor Jiang is young and accomplished, teaching in the history department at Peking University. He's here to conduct field research for a book on historical changes. Minister Wang couldn't stop praising Lars Jiang, and the others joined in with flattery. I forced a polite smile. Fang Shu from next to me leaned in and whispered in my ear, "This car is so comfortable, just like riding in a luxury vehicle. No wonder all the officials love these kinds of cars." Fang Shu's excited expression made me unable to hold back my laughter. He stroked the leather seats and glanced around the spacious interior, saying enviously, "When can we get one of these? Just think how many daily necessities this car could hold. I could buy a mattress and even get you a blanket." Usually, when we squeeze onto the bus, we don't dare buy too much, otherwise we wouldn't even be able to board, so we always have to make tough choices about what to bring. Listening to his beautiful fantasy, I also leaned close to his ear and whispered, "This car costs at least 800,000. Do you think the company would spend that much just to buy us blankets and mattresses?" Fang Shu instantly deflated. The speed at which his expression changed almost made me burst out laughing. After forcing back a smile and sitting up straight, I noticed Lars Jiang was looking in my direction. His gaze was deep and unfathomable. I pretended not to see and turned my eyes back to the window. Lars Jiang wanted to review the county annals of nearby villages, so Minister Zhong asked us to assign someone to accompany him. The leader had already privately told us to let Fang Shu accompany him, but Lars Jiang actually refused and looked at me. "Sky Song and I are old acquaintances. Let Sky Song accompany me." Seeing this, the leader immediately pushed me forward. "That's great. Old acquaintances will definitely get along more comfortably." My objection was invalid, and in the end, I had no choice but to leave the office with Lars Jiang. I had actually thought about how it would be to meet again, but when we really did, I realized that time truly can take everything away. I could barely recall those heartbroken feelings from back then. "Where would you like to go first?" I wrapped the scarf around me, covering my entire face to shield against the wind and sand. Lars Jiang suddenly stopped in his tracks, quietly staring at me. "What's wrong?" I stopped as well, looking around. "There's nothing worth studying here, is there?" His voice suddenly tightened slightly, as if he wanted to reach out and brush the hair away from my eyes. I tilted my body to avoid his touch. He stiffened his arm and slowly withdrew it. I faintly saw Lars Jiang sway unsteadily, his eyes filled with profound sorrow, as if he had suffered an immense grievance. I looked at him inexplicably, and after a long while, I finally heard him say, "Sky Song, you've changed." I chuckled and pulled the scarf tighter around me. Being blown by the wind and sand every day, it'd be strange if I didn't change. I thought he was saying I wasn't as refined and beautiful as before, but he shook his head in disappointment. "No, Sky Song, you weren't like this before." In the afternoon, Lars Jiang suggested finding a place to sit down. I looked at him in surprise. In my memory, history and work were always the most important things to him. Countless times, he would become so immersed in the ocean of history that he would completely overlook me. Here were the things he loved to study the most. There was no reason he would just want to sit down. But today, my job was to be a good local guide, so I had no complaints. Lars Jiang always gazed at me with affectionate eyes, as if he could never get enough, staring so intently it made my skin crawl. "What are you staring at me for?" I couldn't help but ask. After a long silence, he finally spoke. "I miss you so much." The milk tea I had just sipped nearly sprayed out of my mouth. What is this guy doing? Could it be that he wants to rekindle the old flame? Dude, don't be ridiculous. When we were dating, he was as cold as ice and impossible to warm up, wouldn't even say a single sweet word. After breaking up for years, he suddenly pulls this stunt. I couldn't help but laugh. Just as I was about to tease him, I noticed his eyes turning red. I imagined the scene when we'd meet again. I thought you'd hate me, that you'd cry and question me. But none of that happened. He lowered his eyelids, looking as if he was about to fall apart. I laughed bitterly. "Do you think I can't live without you? Don't tell me you're imagining that I'll come crawling back to you when I can't take it anymore. No, Sky Song, I've been looking for you all along." Lars Jiang said he had been to my home and my workplace, but no one would tell him where I was. I was somewhat surprised. I did confess to my mom before leaving that Lars Jiang and I had already broken up, and I hoped neither she nor Aunt Jiang would interfere anymore. I needed some peace and quiet. I still remember how shocked Mom was at the time, but surprisingly, she didn't tell Lars Jiang where I went at all. Even my colleagues at the company helped keep it a secret. It's really impressive. Actually, I never asked them to keep my whereabouts confidential because it never crossed my mind that Lars Jiang would look for me. "I don't want to break up," he said. He said he sent me many messages apologizing and trying to reconcile, but received no response at all. He said he knew I had probably long since discarded that phone number, but he just couldn't bring himself to give up. Just what if I saw it? So he kept sending messages. I didn't say anything. Because that number was still in my possession, I'd just gotten a local number to save money. Lars Jiang's confession came as a surprise, and I even found it quite jarring. It was so out of character for him. Finally, he looked at me. "Sky Song, can we make up? Please, stop tormenting me." Pain surfaced in his eyes, as if these years had been nothing but hardship for him. "But this is something I simply cannot accept." "What do you mean I'm tormenting you? Lars Jiang, don't push your luck. Those 5 years of chasing you relentlessly, I'll let that go. Since I was the one insisting on pursuing you, I don't blame you for that. But during the 2 years we were together, did I ever wrong you? It was you who tormented me the whole time, wasn't it? Time has passed, and now I can calmly speak about those grievances from back then. Yes, it was all my fault. Punish me however you want, I just beg you not to leave me again." He admitted his mistakes quickly enough. But I had no intention of accepting his apology. "Lars Jiang, this isn't like you. Don't stoop to such behavior. What's over is over." After I said those words, Lars Jiang still followed me. Even someone as thick-skinned as Fang Shu noticed something was off. "Are you and that associate Professor Jiang involved in something? Why do I keep catching him glancing this way? Look, he's still staring this way. But why do I feel a chill? His gaze feels like it could kill someone. Could he be your enemy?" In the cafeteria, ignoring Fang Shu's gossip, I focused on eating my meal seriously. Lars Jiang finally returned with his food, standing in front of me with his tray. "Sorry, could I switch seats with you?" he said to my colleague beside me. The colleague looked utterly confused, blankly glancing around the cafeteria. There were clearly empty seats everywhere. Yet he still instinctively got up and moved to another spot. Lars Jiang smiled faintly and sat down beside me. I rolled my eyes. Lars Jiang looked at Fang Shu, who couldn't comprehend his depth and simply grinned at him. "Silly guy." I chuckled silently, breaking apart the hard-boiled egg I just peeled, and out of habit, placed the yolk on Fang Shu's plate. He promptly picked it up with his chopsticks and ate it. I love egg whites but can't stand the yolk, to avoid waste. I used to skip hard-boiled eggs altogether when I first arrived here. Later, when Fang Shu learned of my habit, he was overjoyed, practically jumping for joy. "I just love eating egg yolks. I could easily down 5 in one meal. But the cafeteria limits eggs, so since you don't eat yours, give them all to me. Every last one." So I developed this habit. Lars Jiang watched our seamless, synchronized movements, his gaze gradually turning cold. At night, just as I was about to fall asleep, I suddenly heard a commotion outside. and soon someone came banging on the door. Sky Song, get up quickly, the rain is too heavy, and there might be a mudslide. I was startled and quickly got out of bed, putting on my jacket and raincoat. The terrain in the neighboring county is very different from ours. With rain like this, accidents are highly likely, so we need to evacuate immediately. All of us gathered together, ready to go and provide support. After hurriedly boarding the car, I realized Lars Jiang was also there. Why are you following? I want to help in any way I can. Seeing his determination, I didn't say anything more. At this moment, time is money. Upon arrival, despite the heavy rain, Fang Shu and I formed a team and headed to the eastern part of the village to assist in evacuating the villagers. Most of the residents here were elderly, reluctant to leave behind their beloved livestock. Fang Shu and I, familiar with the task, herded the sheep out of the pen and took them along. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of Lars Jiang, his gaze holding an emotion I couldn't decipher when he looked at me. He took the luggage from my hands and placed it in the car. Seeing him help, I turned back to fetch more things, but as soon as I turned around, he took them from me again. You're on your period lately, right? Getting caught in the rain was unavoidable, but don't push yourself too hard. Rest if you're feeling unwell. I froze. He actually remembered the days of my period. My period has always been regular. In the past, when I told him I was feeling unwell during those special days and wanted him to comfort me, he would look reluctant and unwilling to listen. Suddenly, I remembered how he had barely walked around during the day, mostly sitting and resting. Is it also to take care of me? I shook my head, dismissing those unrealistic thoughts. If Lars Jiang had such considerate awareness, I probably would have remained a hopeless simp back then. I moved another box of luggage, avoiding his offer to help. At this moment, no phase matters more than ensuring everyone's safety. My refusal of his help seemed to take him by surprise. Do you really not need me anymore now? His murmur was drowned in the heavy rain, and I had no time left to spare for him. There are trapped sheep and villagers on the hillside. When we received this news, almost everyone was about to evacuate. Looking at the few who stayed behind, I took the initiative to speak. I'll go, you take these people and leave first. Among this group, I'm the oldest in age and have the longest work experience, so naturally, it should be me who goes. Fang Shu was about to follow immediately, but Lars Jiang beat him to it. I'm not familiar with this place. It would be better for Mr. Fang to lead the villagers out first. Fang Shu also understood that among those remaining, he was the only one they could rely on. He couldn't leave anymore, so he could only look at Lars Jiang with a serious expression. Professor Jiang, I'm counting on you. Please be extremely careful. I will. Time was of the essence. Carrying a flashlight, ropes, and other equipment, I rushed to the hillside and indeed found several trapped villagers along with their sheep. They were stranded on a high ground surrounded by water. With the help of Lars Jiang, we successfully reached them using ropes. We then secured them with safety harnesses and assisted them in reaching a safe area on the other side. After they and the flock had all left, the ropes suddenly snapped, and the water flow became even more turbulent. Seeing the villagers trying to come back to rescue us, I shouted loudly, urging them to leave first and find help to come back for us. Only then did we finally succeed in persuading them to leave. The rain kept increasing, and the safe ground beneath Lars Jiang and me grew smaller and smaller, forcing us to climb to the highest point of a large boulder. I'm actually a bit scared, afraid of sacrificing here, afraid of never seeing my family again. In that moment, countless thoughts raced through my mind. Suddenly, warmth spread across the back of my hand. It was Lars Jiang enveloping my hand with his large one. He looked at me and suddenly choked up. I'm sorry, it's my fault that you're in this situation. I didn't understand his logic and looked at him in confusion. If I hadn't broken your heart, you wouldn't have been so disheartened as to come here. The corner of my lips twitched as I calmly explained, it's not for you, it's for the promotion and raise. Thinking about how I could skip 2 levels directly by returning to my position in the second half of the year, my fighting spirit was reignited. I'm sure I can turn misfortune into fortune. They will definitely come to rescue me. Lars Jiang clearly didn't believe my excuse. He suddenly pulled out a velvet pouch from his pocket, inside which lay a pair of silver rings. The silver rings had barely touched his palm when they were quickly drenched by the rain. With trembling hands, he held them out to me. "It's okay if the pair you made before can't be found. I made new ones, these are crafted by my own hands." He said he originally didn't dare to bring it up again, but given the current situation, he felt that if he didn't say certain things now, he might never have another chance. Sky Song, I love you. From the very first moment I saw you, you captured all of my attention. I admit I'm quite wicked. Seeing you go to such lengths to pursue me made me truly happy. I love how your heart and eyes were completely filled with me. I happened to meet you at that wedding banquet, and when I overheard my mother and aunt talking about setting you up on a blind date with another colleague's child, I panicked. So when you confessed again, I agreed. You have no idea how long I waited for your confession that day. I was so afraid you'd actually go on that blind date and never look at me again. My expression must have frozen completely, so neither my mom nor his mom was involved. I said, why was mom so shocked when I came clean to her? Turns out she had no idea I was dating her colleague's son. Lars Jiang's words continued. I really liked the silver ring you gave me. I threaded it onto a necklace and kept it close to my heart. When you took it back, I was truly panicked, so much so that I wanted to ask you every day when you'd give it back to me. I'm really afraid you'll regret it. Dating someone as boring as me must be especially uninteresting. Actually, I'm very insecure. The reason I didn't dare to accept your pursuit back then was because I was afraid you'd regret it after getting to know me, which is why I kept hesitating and didn't dare to accept. After hearing his words, I was surprised to discover that he had so much inner turmoil. So he's been wearing that ring all along. No wonder I never saw it on his hand before. But with that icy face of his, no one would think he cares. He's insecure, how ridiculous, with so many girls chasing after him. He actually feels insecure. His words brought my past memories into sharp focus again. I recalled the trigger that made me completely give up, and tentatively asked, your little junior sister and your classmate came looking for you but didn't let me meet them. Is there something else going on there too? He pursed his lips, as if reluctant to speak. I didn't push him. Whether he wanted to say it or not was up to him. I was just listening for entertainment anyway. It also helped distract me a bit. Finally, he spoke in the silence. One of the classmates who attended that dinner party was with me at that history lecture back then. He has a crush on you. So, I didn't understand the causal relationship here. So, I don't want him to meet you. I'd be jealous. He let out a bitter laugh. He's witty, charming, and popular. I'm afraid that once you meet him, you'll realize he's actually a better match for you. That's why I don't want you to appear in front of him. If the junior sister you mentioned is Lin Yu, it's because she's that guy's neighbor. I don't want there to be any possibility of you being associated with that person. Suddenly, I recalled the first time I met Lin Yu and said in disbelief, that time, were you pretending not to see me on purpose? I'm sorry. It was indeed intentional. Every time I left the classroom, I would look for your figure in the hallway. I could always spot you at first glance, so how could I not recognize you? He looks nostalgic, and I just want to laugh it off. He noticed I didn't look well, so he had no choice but to continue apologizing sincerely. I'm sorry. After you broke up with me, I kept thinking about those past events over and over. I know I was terribly wrong, especially about giving Lin Yu the password. I just didn't want you two to meet. Actually, back then, it wasn't that I didn't want to give you the password, it's just, the way you acted spoiled with me. I really got addicted to it, so I was left speechless. Please believe me, I've never had any extra thoughts about any other girl. I only love you. I'm sorry. You loved so passionately that it gave me the illusion you would love me forever. If we can make it out alive, can you give me another chance? He stared at me intently, letting the rain pour down his handsome face. Seeing my silence, he trembled as he tried to slip the ring onto my finger. Just as the silver ring touched my fingertip, I coldly withdrew my hand. Lars Jiang, it's over when it's over. There's no possibility anymore. Some words, if not spoken at the right time, will be missed for a lifetime. These words of his were once what I longed for, but now, they can hardly stir a ripple in my heart. In the end, we were rescued. When Fang Shu saw me, his eyes red. He immediately pulled me into a tight embrace. I patted his shoulder to comfort him. catching a glimpse of Lars Jiang's unpleasant expression out of the corner of my eye. I ignored his look of a jealous husband catching his wife in the act. Once everything was settled, I called my mom to let her know I was safe. Mom cried again, and I promised to return home in the second half of the year. As we were talking, Mom mentioned the children of her old colleagues, and the topic inadvertently shifted to Lars Jiang. Mom paused before telling me that Lars Jiang had once visited our home. I calmly said I already knew and told her Lars Jiang was here right now. Don't overthink it, your daughter doesn't go back to her exes. Mom seemed to let out a sigh of relief. Actually, Xiao Jiang hasn't had it easy these past few years. I heard from his mom that there was a period when his mental state wasn't good, almost like he'd gone mad, always muttering about some silver ring, and he would disappear from time to time, saying he was looking for something. When he came to our house, I didn't dare tell him where you were. Mom sighed regretfully. Moreover, he missed a great opportunity. The school originally favored him for a professorship and wanted him to go abroad for an exchange program. Who would have thought he would refuse? And no one could persuade him otherwise. In recent years, many talented individuals have emerged, and numerous associate professors have been promoted. Yet, despite being an associate professor for so long, his academic rank hasn't budged at all. It's truly a pity. After hanging up the phone, as if guided by some unseen force, I found that SM card and logged into the long unused WeChat account. As soon as I went online, numerous messages popped up, quickly reaching 99 plus. Everything but the news is about Lars Jiang. Didn't he never use WeChat? Curious. I opened the chat window, only to be stunned by its contents. Every day, he sends I love you. These years have been unceasing. I stared blankly at the monotonous chat records. Countless messages he sent, I just skimmed through them casually before putting them away again. Finally, the rain stopped and the sky cleared. The heavy downpour caused no casualties, and we all smiled with the relief of having survived a disaster. 2 months later, the day of my departure arrived, and Lars Jiang had been here all this time. What about your job? Is it really okay? I couldn't help but ask. I took a long leave. Sky Song. I know I neglected you a lot because of work before. I just want to make it up to you, but I don't need it now. My refusal didn't faze him. He still stubbornly stayed here until I was about to leave this land. Fang Shu held on to me reluctantly. One after another, you all abandon me, leaving me alone. Don't worry, there will be new friends to keep you company. Besides, you'll be back in at most 6 months, and we'll meet in Jing City then. I smiled and said goodbye to him, and Lars Jiang also left. After returning home, I indulged in leisure for half a month before finally getting back to my normal work routine. Just as I got off work, I saw Lars Jiang waiting downstairs. TSK, how the tables have turned in just 30 years. You two have completely swapped roles, haven't you? My colleague couldn't help but marvel at Lars Jiang, who was unfailingly punctual in picking me up from work. Belated affection is cheaper than grass. I wholeheartedly agreed with my colleague's indignant remark, so I took the initiative to ask Lars Jiang out for the first time. His excitement was evident, even stumbling a bit as he started planning. Let's go eat first, and then watch a movie. There's actually a new one. No need, just find a coffee shop. My calmness seemed to make him understand something. In the cafe, I solemnly told him once again that there was no possibility between us. I hope you won't come looking for me anymore, because your actions have already affected me. Let's part on good terms and remain friends in the future. Don't make me annoyed with you. Okay, but I don't want to be your friend. Then let's be strangers, and never see each other again. I resolutely uttered these words and left the cafe. Outside, through the window, I saw Lars Jiang still frozen in the same position, as if completely lost in his own world. Just then, my phone rang. It was Fang Shu. Come quickly and welcome me back. Your lord has returned. Ah, my beloved big city. Your humble servant has finally returned. Listening to the nonsense on the other end of the phone, I couldn't help but laugh. All right, wait for me. I'm on my way to pick you up. Without another glance at Lars Jiang, I drove to the airport.